What's going on, everyone? Charlie here. I'm going to show you this library that I made. It's called API Master that basically aggregates a bunch of different market data APIs together with all of the work done already as far as parsing the data, putting it into functions, and actually utilizing dot notation to make everything very easy to import and manage and utilize to build your own applications with. If you want to build a website, whatever it is, to study or research this market data in real time. A lot of this is real-time data. Some of it is historic and some of it is reference data. As far as API keys, you're going to need an API key for Polygon. You will need one for STOCKSERA, and you will need one for NASDAQ to access any of the functions related to those market data APIs. The rest of them will be free, and there's no data cost required. Well, even NASDAQ's free. You just have to have an API key. And then the STOCKSERA one is also free, but you just have to sign up for their API key at their website, which is no cost. The only one that will have a cost associated with it is going to be the real-time data from Polygon.io, as it does include the OPRA data from as far as open interest and implied volatility. So you can study volume metrics in real time. But everything else is going to be at no cost, and you can utilize all of these APIs within this library. So again, this is aggregating market data APIs with the API Master library. It's going to give you a brief tutorial on how to set it up and use it. So the first thing you want to do is head over to the repo, and I'll link this below. And once you get to the repo, you can either, number one, download the entire thing and then work straight from the file itself, which will give you more control over the code, or you can just download the user library, which will be a little bit easier to use, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So if you're going to use the library, then the only thing you're going to want to grab from this repo is the requirements.txt file, and you just want to take this and either download it and move it into your project folder where we're going to be working, or just copy the contents of this file and then paste it in your project folder, which I've done right here. I just pasted it into my blank folder that I'm getting ready to utilize for this package. So my main.py file is completely empty because I need to do a couple of things first before I can use this. And number one is going to be install the package. So to do that, I'm going to create a fresh environment. I'm going to say conda create name. We're going to call it let's just do API test. And that's going to create me a new environment. I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to activate that environment. It's conda activate API test. And then I'm going to say, well, I need to navigate to my projects folder. So this folder with the requirements.txt file, I need to navigate there in the command prompt. But first, I'm going to conda install requests. And that should be the only one you need to get on your own. Everything else will be included in the requirements.txt. Once this downloads, now I can go ahead and pip install API_master. I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. Just like this, pip install API master. And it's going to start downloading that. And I'm going to go ahead, once that's finished, and I'm going to navigate to my folder. So cd ... cd ... That's going to take me back to folder locations. And then I'm going to go to cd users, cd chuck, cd test project, I believe is where I'm working out of. And yours will be different depending on where your folder is that you're going to be utilizing this library. So now that I'm in the folder, I can go ahead and install those requirements that I put in this file. And you have to make sure that it's called requirements.txt. And once you're in your folder, you can just go ahead and do pip install -r requirements.txt like that. And then that's going to download all of the dependencies that you're going to need in order to use this library. And from here, we can just go ahead and start importing data that we want. So I'm going to go ahead and show the WEBULL example in this one. So the first thing you'll do is, in the way the tree of this library works, is you'll say from API master dot SDKs dot, and these are all of the SDKs you're going to have access to. So you have Discord, Fed New York, the FUDStop, which is our Discord trading group SDK, which has a lot of helpful tools related to Discord stuff. You have a helpers file that you can import useful helpers for these SDKs. And you have a NASDAQ SDK, OCC, Polygon, STOCKSERA, and WEBULL. I'm going to show you the WEBULL one in this example. So you do from API master.sdks.webull.webull SDK import async WEBULL SDK. The WEBULL SDK is async. The Polygon SDK is async. Everything else is synchronous. So because it's async, we'll need to define WEBULL as async WEBULL. You don't need to pass in any arguments. And then we'll need to import asyncio, and then we'll need to create a main function. So we'll do async def main, and then at the bottom we'll do asyncio.run main, and then in the middle we can just type in WEBULL dot, and then you're going to be able to see all of the different functions that you have access to from this SDK. So there's quite a bit here. Financial score, get analysis data, which is like analyst ratings. You have balance sheet, you have earnings calendar, you have financial statements, institutional holdings, options data, short interest, top gainers, WEBULL news, and then volume analysis. So in this example, I'll show you the get volume analysis data. And because this is async, you'll need to make sure that you put a wait at the beginning of any of the functions within the WEBULL SDK. And we'll define this as volume analysis equals WEBULL.get volume analysis data. And then all you have to pass into any of these WEBULL functions is a ticker with some optional date ranges and things like that. We'll set the ticker to, let's do Apple for now. And then the cool thing about this is that whenever you call any of these functions and define it, you don't have to go searching and looking for any of the data variables that are within it. There's no parsing required. You can go ahead and print volume analysis dot average price. You can print volume analysis dot by volume. You can print volume analysis dot neutral volume. You can print volume analysis dot sell volume. And then you can see all of these data metrics clearly, defined for you already without doing any work other than what I've shown you so far. So let's do average price is this. We'll do by volume is this. Then you'll do neutral volume is this right here. And then you'll do sell volume. And this is for the underlying volume. Just like that. And we'll print this. And as you can see, it prints nice and clean to the terminal with average price traded, by volume, neutral volume, and sell volume. You can do the same thing for multiple tickers if you wanted to. So if you wanted to set up your own kind of scanning system to see if, which volume is more than the other, you could set up a simple if conditional. Just say if volume analysis dot by volume is greater than volume analysis dot sell volume. Whoops. No, not is. If volume analysis dot by volume is greater than volume analysis dot sell volume and volume analysis dot by volume is greater than volume analysis dot sell volume or neutral volume, we can say print the ticker. Just like that. So now it's not going to print unless we know the ticker is trading with majority by volume. So in this case, since we know, I'm going to tab this over, since we know that we're looking for tickers that have more by volume than any other type of volume in this data, now we can do a set of tickers. We can say, let's just do Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, AMD, Tesla, we'll do AMC, GME, we'll do TLRY, Muln, PayPal. And then instead of doing one singular ticker, we can just do, we'll name this tickers, for ticker in tickers, and then we will just tab all this over. Now we can run this, and we should get multiple values back. Okay, so we did have some with by volume majority, so very cool. Has majority by volume. Well, actually, hold on. Let's not do that. Let's do this. Print F ticker has majority by volume. Did all of those have majority by volume? Interesting. Apple, NVIDIA, AMD, Apple. Okay, so Microsoft didn't. Microsoft was the only one on there. I guess Tilray as well. But you see what I'm saying. Very simple to set up. There was no work required other than the imports and selecting the data variables that you wanted. And you can obviously combine multiple functions together and multiple APIs. So that's the volume analysis. I'll keep these data attributes here. If you wanted to do an additional function on top of this for multiple tickers, you could say WEBULL get balance sheet, and then if you wanted to pass in that same ticker list, we would do balance sheet equals await WEBULL get balance sheet. And then to see all these attributes, this will contain prior historic earnings data. So you'll have to zero this one off to see the first set of metrics, but you have quite a bit. You have, the fiscal period, the common stock, cash equivalents, cash and short-term investments, additional paid-in capital, accumulated depreciation total, notes, all the stuff you could ever imagine. It's all available. So if we wanted to check the total liabilities for all of these tickers, we could say print balance sheet dot total liabilities. Then we'll say liabilities for ticker, and we can easily see the liabilities for all these on top of the volume analysis. So very cool. Very, very cool. And you could even concatenate all that into a dictionary if you want to. The possibilities are endless. It just comes to what can you think of, what are you capable of, and what can you put together. So that's a simple example on how to use this. And again, there is several other functions you can use. This was just one example from the WEBULL SDK. Same process though, if you wanted the other SDKs, except not as much work if you wanted to use the STOCKSERA because it's not async. But if we wanted to do the Polygon one, we do from API master.sdks .polygon SDK .async polygon SDK import async polygon SDK, and then from API master.sdks polygon SDK options SDK import polygon options SDK. Then we have from API master.sdks fed New York SDK SDK import fed New York, and so on and so forth. So now we have 4 APIs that we have all in this one file that we could easily pull from and run their functions together. For example, we could define Polygon here as Polygon equals async Polygon SDK, and then you got to pass in your API key, which you would get from your config file that I don't have in this example, but that's you would import it. So let's just not pass anything in for now. Let's just pass in API key just for now. And then you can see all the Polygon functions by saying Polygon dot, and then you get all of your different functions. Same process for any of these SDKs. So Polygon options equals Polygon options SDK, pass in my API key. Then I can see all of the Polygon options functions, which is right here. So you can get all the snapshots for any option you want, the whole entire options chain, last trades. You can get historic trades, historic volume, option snapshots, exchanges, quotes. You can get near the money options. You name it, it's probably in here. As far as the Fed New York is concerned, we're going to define the Fed as, we'll just call it Fed equals Fed New York. Doesn't take any arguments. Then we can look at what the Fed has. Fed dot, and we have agency mortgage-backed securities. We have liquidity swaps. We have liquidity swap search. We have the rates. We have the repo propositions. Then we have securities lending data. What else? STOCKSERA from API master.sdks.STOCKSERA SDK.SDK import STOCKSERA SDK. Then we define STOCKSERA SDK as STOCKSERA equals STOCKSERA SDK. No arguments need to be passed in there. And for that, you can simply say STOCKSERA dot, and then you have daily treasury, earnings calendar, fails to deliver market-wide, house trades, inflation, IPO calendar, Jim Cramer's lightning round picks, jobless claims, later insider summary, low floats, market news, news sentiment, retail sales, reverse repo transactions, SEC filings for any ticker, Senate trades, short interest, short volume, stock twits, subreddits, and trading halts, as well as WSB mentions and WSB options for the STOCKSERA. And if you did want to use like a non-async one, a little bit easier, you don't have to await it. You just say inflation equals STOCKSERA.inflation. Then it's going to print out the inflation data since 1970, I believe. So pretty cool stuff. And then there is a built-in Discord bot as well that you can configure and invite to your own server. You would just have to do the configuration. And I do have readmes on this stuff in the repo online. So I'll link all this below. I'll link the repo link so you can download the requirements.txt file that you'll need for this. And I will include the quick start code snippet, which actually I'm just going to link the website because there's actually a built-in Flask website as well that you can modify or change to create your own website via Heroku. So this is what it would look like for me here. This is what I've built. The code snippets are all right here. So you would go to API Master Quick Start and then select Quick Start. And then this is actually the Quick Start for the API Master library. So I'm going to copy paste this and show you how it works once it's all done here. And it basically goes through all of the different APIs, and it gives you an example command from each one. So this one's giving you the STOCKSERA example. This one has the WEBULL example. This one has the POLYGON quick start. And you can concatenate all of them and run them all together, or you can pick which one you want to use to test it out and utilize it that way. So I'll link all this below, but yeah, hopefully this helps somebody, and hopefully this library gets some use. A lot of work did go into it. I'm the only one that's contributed on this project for now, and you're welcome to look through the repo online to see if there's any problems that need to be fixed. If there's anybody that wants to contribute, you're more than welcome to. Just get with me on GitHub, and we'll go over that. But yeah, it's all here. Hopefully this helps somebody. So anyways, have a good one.